Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot and a PMDG 777 tester. Welcome back to the Boeing 777-200ER on a flight from Punta Cana over to London Gatwick. As promised, today we're going to fly from Tropical Zim's Punta Cana, which as you can see looks quite a bit different than the freeware version, but I'll totally leave it up to you to decide which one you like more. Now, if there is something that I'm sure you're going to like, then have a look at today's sponsor, Say Intentions AI. Say Intentions is an air traffic control add-on, and they are not just capable of doing your standard IFR A to B flight, but they have a lot more things such as data link, such as VFR support, and a cabin crew simulation, and more. So if you're interested, then do check that out. We are going to use them for today's flight so that you can get an impression. Use the link in the video description below or in the pinned comment. And now, let's get right into our Boeing 777. And here we are in the cockpit of the Yankee Mike Sierra, Rolls-Royce powered. And as you can see, we already have a first officer on board, which is part of the latest 777 upgrade. And it just makes the flight deck feel a lot nicer, doesn't it? Now, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and start to work on today's flight, because we have quite a couple of things to do. First things first though, ADRU is coming on, then we can have a look into the engine page, verify that the oil quantity is sufficient for the flight today, a look on the status page, and the hydraulics are sufficient, APU oil is sufficient, oxygen pressure is looking good. Let's do the oxygen check to be on the 100% safe side, and this is looking very good indeed. Now for our ICAS, we are just scanning over what we see over here, making sure that there is nothing that's not supposed to be there. Now let's go ahead and request our departure ATIS as well, Mike Delta Papa Charlie from Say Intentions, and send that one as well. Very nice. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and start our preparation and get out our Universal Flight tablet, download our data from SimBrief, and this is looking very good. Then we can have a look into our flight plan. So scrolling down a little bit, let's find our charts, and this is what today's flight looks like. So pretty much a straight line all the way to London Gatwick. Then the significant weather chart is clear along the first half, and there's just that little bit of possible clear air turbulence under number 1 down here up to level 380 for that small bit during the breakfast service. Apart from that, the wind's unfortunately not all that good today, which leads to a flight time that is rather long, to be honest. So if we look up here, we can see that an on-time departure is going to result in just about an on-time arrival in Gatwick. However, we do have lots of margin for the takeoff weight and the landing weight, so we can take some extra fuel. Now if we look over here, we are planned in level 370, later on 390 at Mach 0.83. And when we take a look into the fuel section, then we can see that, well, with the alternate in Manchester, we do have quite a bit of extra over here. And 1,000 kilos more weight needs 317 more, and a higher cost index can shove off 11 minutes at the cost of 1,500 kilos. So this is something we're absolutely going to consider. So 1,500 on top at least. Now let's have a quick look at the weather in order to be able to make a final decision. So Punta Cana is rather cloudy with some CBs over here, 30 degrees, 1015. And then Gatwick is Carvock, stays Carvock. Manchester has a little bit of rain, but apart from that is very good as well. We are not going to be affected by this tomorrow evening. Okay, so with that we can make a fuel decision, and I'm going to take those 1,500 kilos more just to be able to fly a little bit faster. So basically plus 2,000 including the taxi fuel here, so we end up at 61 tons of fuel. So let's go down here into the weight and balance app, update the data from SimBrief, and then we can load up our fuel, which is going to become 61 tons, like this. Just 44%. Amazing airplane, isn't it? I know I'm repeating myself with this one, but I really do feel so. Alright, cool. So that's there. Now let's go ahead and have a look at the latest ATIS. Punta Cana information November at 2000 Zulu, winds 110 at 10, visibility 6, sky conditions, few CBs. Well, that's pretty much what we had already seen, isn't it? So QNH is 1015, which we can just dial up. And over here as well. And I do have a feeling that for some reason it has lost my custom performance settings here. So let me quickly redo those. For some reason this seems to happen every now and then when I'm updating in between all the beta versions, so PMDG might have implemented something there. That's not really going to affect you guys, it does affect me, so I'm just quickly fixing that stuff. Alright, and that is looking wonderful. So then, nav data out of date. Well, we can do something about that, so let's go down here and let's hit install nav data, and that is going to download the latest data automatically. Apart from that, there is not really that much that we can actually do at the moment, so GSX is inoperative once again. I did try to update it as it wouldn't recognize me standing on this parking spot. It just asked me which parking spot I wanted to go to. I have no idea why, but it's doing it. And, well, then I tried to download the latest update, and the result, well, was that it would just crash the Throttle thingy, and GSX wouldn't work at all anymore. Hey, loving it. Alright, so with that out of the way, our nav data is now updated. So having a look down here, we now have a 777-200 with a Trent 800 engine. Nav database is up to date. We are going to use the GPS position, and then we can do the route data request, and that's indeed the one we're looking for. So it might take a little while for that thing to arrive. Let's use that to plan our departure. So leaving Punta Cana, then our SID is going to be off runway 08, so probably one of these over here. Well, and that's literally all we need. So load that route, please. Okay, so back to our flight plan. So we're going to be speedbird 2204. Like this. So departing runway 08, which is in here as well. Perfect. Chuma to Whiskey departure. And then we're arriving in Gatwick on an ILS approach runway 26 left via the Otmet 1 Golf arrival. Here it is, and let's cheat. Coming in over Willow. Alright, activate and execute. Then let's head over to the legs page and compare that one to the chart. So, Chuma to Whiskey, straight out to Texas. And then we're gonna do a left-hand turn to Papa Charlie 101 below 5,000. Papa Charlie 114 below 6,000, and then on towards Chuma. So 5,000 is probably gonna be the initial climb as well. No speed restrictions, that is good. So, route data, wind update, load, and execute. FMCCom, forecast, load. So, on the progress page, we have a distance of 3,791 versus 3,809. Both are good, we don't need anything on the NAVRADs. And then, fix info. We have Mike Delta Papa Charlie, and that's going to be with a 25-mile ring. So transition altitude is 17,000 in here, and let's see, 17,000 up there as well. Beautiful. So now for our performance uplink, we can accept that one as well. Let's have a look at the fuel figure to make sure that it is correct. And we've got basically 7.2. Yep, that's correct. Flight 370. Cost index will be 100 today. Minimum fuel temperature -44, cruise CG 30, and step size 2000. So for the takeoff, acceleration and reduction 1000 each, that's looking good. Then let's go ahead and compare our routing to make sure that it makes sense. So Chuma, Yankee 315 Kika, direct siphon, direct 30 north 55 west, 34 north and 50 west, 39 north, 40 west, 43 north, 30 west, 47 north, 20 west, 48 north, 15 west, direct Omoko, direct Gunzo, direct Gapley, direct City, direct Dorley, direct Elrip, direct Otmat, and that is looking good. So let's see, at 50 west we're going to climb to flight level 390. So let's enter that one over here. And then we can cross-check all those waypoints. So 3055 is indeed 30 north and 55 degrees west. Then 3450 is 34 north, 50 degrees west. 3940 is 39 north, 40 degrees west. So 4330 is 43 north and 30 degrees west. Then we have 4720, and that is correct as well. And last but not least, 48 and 15 is correct as well. Wonderful. So with that, we have loaded our entire route. We've checked it as well, so let's just press route copy. That way we have a backup, and that's it. Alright, so then we can quickly set up the rest of the cockpit. Not that there would be all too much to do over here. Let's see, refueling is complete, 61 tons are on board. Don't need that Asus anymore. Okay, so up here everything's set, and over here everything's set as well. So, checklists, reset all, and flight information. Well, the data link clearances don't work in Punta Cana in the real world, so we are not going to use it in here as well. So all of this is checked, and as it's supposed to be. Then let's head over here, view our left, airport traffic, view our right. And then auto brake in RTO, park and brake set. Now let's see about the frequencies. Punta Cana. So clearance 12165. And ground 1219. That's looking good. So ATIS is 13285. And then we also need 1215. So this is looking quite good. Transmit and listen VHF left right. Speaker is coming up. We also want the weather radar on WXT. Alright. So that's pretty much everything set. Then I suppose before we're going to start the clearance, we can actually go ahead and just call delivery. Well, we're just going to call for the clearance now. So, ATIS info November. Punta Cana delivery, Speedbird 2204 Heavy, information November. Request IFR clearance to London Gatwick.
I'll have your clearance in just a second.
Okay, thanks. So, let's see when the clearance is actually going to come.
Speedbird 2204, information November is current. Cleared to London Gatwick via the Chum 2 Whiskey departure, then is filed. Departure runway 8, initial climb to 4,000 feet. Departure on 119.75, squawk 2755.
Speedbird 2204, cleared to Gatwick via Chuma 2 Whiskey departure out of runway 8, climb 4,000 feet. Departure 119.75, squawk 2755.
Speedbird 2204, readback correct. Ground will be on 121.9er.
121.9er, Speedbird 2204. Okay, 121.9er, and let's see, tower will be on 118.8. like this. Alright, so we have runway 8, Chuma to Whiskey departure, initial
Ladies
climb
and gentlemen,
4,000.
a warm welcome aboard British Airways Flight 2204.
So, departure
heading to
1975.
London. We're delighted to have you with us today. Please take your seats according to your boarding passes and stow your hand luggage
And
in the
squawk
overhead
2755.
bins or under the seats in front of you. If you need any assistance, don't hesitate to reach out to any of our friendly crew members, including myself, Caroline, and my colleagues Jake, Emily,
Alright,
Sarah,
so
and
that's
Tom.
looking
Thank you
pretty
and enjoy
good.
your flight.
Then let's go ahead and do our departure briefing. Alright, so we're departing off Punta Cana, runway 8, Chuma to Whiskey departure, initial to 4,000. MSA, well, we're going out to the ocean, so 3,000 is going to keep us safe. Extra fuel and time, we have 2,000 kilos on top, which is going to give us approximately 20 minutes. Well, more like 15, to be honest. Okay, hotspots for the taxi routing is going to be crossing of runway 9 and any animals that we can find on the airport. Stop margin in case of rejected is more than plenty. Now, we do not have any specials. Engine outside straight at 25 miles, climbing 3,000. If we need to come back, it's going to be an RNAV approach in runway 8. We're overweight, but within the limits for an immediate return on this runway. And overall, I do not have anything special or anything to complain about. And you know what that means coming from a German. So, apart from that, do you see any threats? Well, birds may be a possible threat, so we are mentally prepared for an engine failure. It could happen, and if it does, then straight at 25, out to the ocean. Alright, so any questions? No? Wonderful. Pre-flight checklist, please. Oxygen, tested 100%. Flight instruments, heading 188, altimeter 1015, reading 60, set left, set right. Pre-flight checklist complete. Alright, so let's say hello to our passengers. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon from the flight deck. This is your captain speaking. My name is Emmanuel. In the name of British Airways, welcome aboard our Boeing 777-200 on our flight to London Gatwick. Today's flight time has been calculated at 8 hours and 15 minutes. We do expect a smooth flight and an on-time arrival. For the time being, sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight with us. And if there is anything we can do for you to make it more comfortable, please do not hesitate to ask any of our charming cabin crew. Thank you for your attention, and once again, welcome aboard. Alright, so the passengers are dealt with, then the APU is already running, so let's go ahead and do our performance. So, zero fuel, 172.9. And that equals a gross weight of 233.9, which checks. So let's go into the weather. Departing Punta Cana, runway 8. So takeoff weight, 234. So do we know a CG? Yes, 29. So CG 29, and now we need the weather. So that is a wind of 110 at 10. The temperature is 30 and the QNH 1015. Alright, calculate. And that's 56 degrees assumed temperature. So EPR 1.356, that is correct. And then flaps 5 takeoff and the CG 29. So takeoff speeds 147, 150, 165. That is within 1 knot. And 5.75 units trim is checked. Very nice. So a lot of you guys have asked me if we could use the ground crew from Say Intentions. So yeah, let's go ahead and use them. I've never done that before, so you see me doing that for the first time right now. Ground from flight deck. Let's see, should be 1999, isn't it? And of course it would help if you tuned the correct frequency. Let's try that one. Ground from flight deck.
Ground to flight deck, go ahead.
Hello, please confirm that all ground checks are completed, the doors are getting closed, and the aircraft is ready for pushback. So, closing the doors right now. Tug is spawning.
Ground checks complete. Tug standing by for pushback.
Thank you. Can we pressurize the hydraulics?
Bypass pin inserted. Just let me know when you're ready to start the pushback.
Okay, roger. And I will call you back. So then let's go.
Ground to flight deck. You can pressurize the hydraulics.
Thank you. So we've got 165 LNAV, VNAV. Runway 8 is on a runway track of 087. And we're going to 4,000. Clear to pressurize. And no fuel in center message. Wow. Okay, so 5.75 units trim, and the transponder can go on. Here we go. Before start checklist, please. Coming true, all doors in flight. So, flight deck door. It's closed and locked. MCP V2 165 heading 087, altitude 4000. Takeoff speeds 148, 150, 165. CDU pre-flight completed. Trim 5.75 units. 0 and 0. Taxi and takeoff briefing completed. Holding at beacon. Punta Cana ground, speedbird 2204 heavy, request pushback and startup.
Speedbird 2204, pushback and startup approved, face west.
Pushback and startup approved, face west, speedbird 2204. Before start checklist complete. Okay, we are clear to push facing west, parking brake is released.
Roger. Standing by for pushback.
You can start the pushback facing west.
Pushback stopped facing west.
So we are clear to pushback facing west, parking brake released. Why did you say pushback is stopped? We don't want to stop it, we want to start
Roger.
it.
Standing by for pushback.
No. Please commence the pushback now.
Commencing pushback now.
Aha! That's what I wanted to hear. So, the tug is reconnecting, fine with me.
Bypass pin inserted. Just let me know when you're ready to start the pushback.
We're ready to start the pushback.
Pushback stopped facing west. Set parking brakes.
No. He keeps understanding stop instead of start. Please start the pushback now. God, is my English so bad?
Commencing pushback now.
Aha. So, just to be 100% sure, the parking brake, or the chocks are
Bypass pin
away,
inserted.
and
Just let me know when you're ready to start the
brake is
pushback.
released. Clear to push, facing west. Okay, they're lifting us up. And
Ground
here
to
we
flight
go.
deck. Cleared for engine start in sequence.
Thank you, starting both engines. So,
Ground
just...
to flight deck. Engine start approved. Let me know when ready for pushback.
Yes, we are. Looks like that may need a little bit of improvement here. But at least we're on the way. A little bit on the slow side at just 1 knot, but believe me, in the Caribbean, many things can happen.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard British Airways Flight 2204, departing from Punta Cana to London Gatwick. We're thrilled to have you with us today. Our captain Emmanuel,
So it might just take a
and our
little while
first
for
officer,
us to
the
get
man-server at
onto
controls,
the
ensuring a
center
safe
line
and
here.
pleasant journey. Joining me in the cabin are my wonderful colleagues, Oliver.
Okay,
Mia,
so let's
Ethan,
commence
and
engine
Ava.
start.
Now, I'd like to take a moment to go over some important safety information. First, please ensure your seatbelt is fastened low and tight across your lap. To release it, simply push the button. In the unlikely event of a loss of cabin pressure, optionally fasten the drop down to the pants above you. Pull the mask start to go off. Place it slowly down and secure it with the handle down. Remember to push only seats. In the event of an evacuation, pull the vest over your head and inflate it by pulling the red tabs. You can also inflate it by blowing into the tubes. Speaking of evacuations, in the unlikely event we need to leave the aircraft, please leave all luggage on board. Your safety is our top priority. As for emergency exits, there are 8 exits on this Boeing 772. 2 doors at the front.
Alright, so that pushback doesn't look too shabby. We could work a bit on the animations and on the speed, but in general, we're getting where we wanted to go.
During the flight, we will be offering a selection of food and drinks from our British Airways High Life Cafe, featuring Tom Kerridge steak and ale pie for £4.50 and Brewdog IPA for £5. Remember, we only accept cards or AVOs for payment. No cash, please. Thank you for your attention.
So that pushback is actually quite okay.
Captain, the cabin is ready for departure.
Ground to flight deck. Pushback complete. Please ensure parking brakes are set. Standing by for confirmation of good engine start and report when ready for disconnect.
Parking brake is set, you can disconnect and give me the clear signal on the left hand side. Have a good day. So the lowering is down. And disconnecting. Beautiful.
Ground to flight deck. Bypass pin removed. We've disconnected and crew is clear. You're good to go. Safe flight. See you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, flight control check. Full up. Full down. Neutral. Full left. Full right. Neutral rudder. Full left. Full right. And neutral. Okay, before taxi checklist. Anti-ice. Auto. Recall. Checked. Flight controls. Checked. Ground equipment. Clear. Before taxi checklist complete. Speedbird 2204 Heavy. Request taxi. Just gonna
Speedbird
left that sign over
2204,
here.
taxi to runway 8 via Alpha Delta Echo, cross runway 09er at your discretion.
Speedbird 2204, taxi to runway 8 via Alpha Delta Echo, cross runway 09er at our discretion. Clear left side, clear right side. Parking brake released. Let's go. So, Alpha Delta Echo. Fairly straightforward, so straight at Alpha, Delta, and Echo. So, let's get clear of the apron at first, and then we are going to do a procedure second. So, bye-bye Punta Cana. It's been nice once again. Hopefully see you again very, very soon. As mentioned, one of my absolute favorite destinations. Alright, so we're clearing the apron, then let's review our takeoff briefing. Flaps 5 takeoff, runway 8. Takeoff speeds 148, 150, 165. The SID is straight ahead left turnout, climbing 4000. Contact departure when advised by the tower, and the frequency will be 1975. 3000 feet keeps us safe, and the engine out procedure straight ahead 25 miles. Climb into 3000, and if we need to come back, it's going to be an hour-and-a-half approach, runway 8. 3000 meters of runway, overweight landing is possible over here. Do you have any questions? No? Beautiful. So then, cabin ready. We'll go for weather, both of us, and before takeoff checklist. Before takeoff checklist complete. Okay, so as you can see, there's really lots and lots and lots of vegetation around the airport, and any single one of those trees may contain a nest of birds. So bird strikes absolutely are an issue here in Punta, and probably the largest threat that we are facing. Now, luckily, most of the birds I've seen over here and that I've hit over here, which have been a couple, were not very big, so they didn't do any damage, but even a small bird, when ingested into the wrong part of the engine, can cause quite a bit of damage. So that risk is unfortunately always present when flying over here. Another thing that's worth mentioning is that the trees are pretty close to the taxiways here in the scenery, at least. I don't remember them being as close in the real world. I guess the ones in front were just smaller bushes and therefore not as relevant. But those things are definitely something that you should have in your mind, and that mean that you just have to keep the aircraft on the center line carefully. So approaching runway 9, that one's only used as taxiway basically, so strobe lights on, we clear the cross.
Approaching 09.
Checked, and clear on both sides as expected. Alright, so clear from runway 9, then runway 8 is straight ahead of us. And we are ready to go. Let's actually dim those displays a little bit, because they are getting rather bright here in the evening hours in the sim. Not quite as much in the real world, of course. Okay, great, so we are basically ready for departure. Speedbird 2204 ready for departure.
Speedbird 2204, you are on ground frequency. Contact tower for departure clearance.
Roger, thank you. That's all I wanted to hear. Contact tower. Punta Cana Tower, Speedbird 2204 Heavy, ready for departure.
Speedbird 2204, Punta Cana Tower, runway 08, winds 110 at 10, cleared for takeoff.
Runway 08, cleared for takeoff, Speedbird 2204 Heavy. Look at that, incorrect runway designator. 08 down here, that's correct.
Approaching 08.
Cabin crew, prepare for departure. So, I'm ready when you are. I take it that's a me too, so takeoff.
On runway 08.
And stabilized. Set takeoff thrust. Thrust set.
80 knots.
Checked.
V1. Rotate.
Positive climb. Gear up. $400. So LNAV, VNAV.
Speedbird 2204, contact departure.
Contact departure, Speedbird 2204. Autopilot. Flaps 1. Speed checked. Flaps 1. Punta Cana departure, Speedbird 2204, heavy, passing 1,400, climbing 4,000.
Speedbird 2204, Punta Cana departure, radar contact, climb via the SID.
Climb via the SID, Speedbird 2204. Okay, so next that means we got 5,000. And that's set and checked. Flaps up. Speed checked. Flaps up. Okay, flaps are up. After takeoff checklist. After takeoff checklist complete. Alright, so we don't need you any longer. We'll keep the elapsed timer running, of course. And then waypoint 101 is below 5,000, and thereafter we can climb to 6,000. Looks like we're out climbing the clouds over here. And we have a couple miles to the right turn, so we're not going into this. $1,000 to go. I'll maintain the rate of climb since we can continue to 6,000 now. And that's 6,000 checked. So this might be a little bit bumpy now. Last couple of views of the Dominican Republic, and then we're on the way back to London. Too much sun coming from here. It's actually gas.
Speedbird 2204, climb flight level 220.
Speedbird 2204, climb flight level 220. Set, 220 checked, VNAV speed. Alright, lovely. So with that, we're up and on the way. Okay, getting clear of the clouds. That means no more turbulence to be expected once we're really above that, which is a good sign for our cabin crew. It's just incredible after flying the 787 for a bit again, just how bad the 200 really climbs. You can really feel that those engines aren't the strongest on the market. Which doesn't mean that they are no fun to operate. Okay, I think we can already put the sun visor in place over here as well. And get our flight deck ready for the cruise, huh? And I'm sure you want one as well. Here you go. So that's the typical cruise configuration. Now the seats just have to go a little bit further back, like this. And yep, that feels exactly like it should. However, I have a feeling we are going to go back into the standard position here just for a little bit. At least until we are, you know, at a good altitude and stuff like that. So we can...
Speedbird 2204, climb flight level 270.
Speedbird 2204, climb flight level 270. Set. 270 checked. Alright, approaching and passing 10,000. VFR can go up to 18 over here, so we'll keep the seatbelts, or rather we keep the lights on for the time being. Pitch is coming down, so let's release our guests. And then let's just go ahead and tidy up the FMS
Dear
here.
guests, we are now at a safe altitude, and you may use your electronic devices. Just a gentle reminder to keep them in airplane mode. Also, our onboard Wi-Fi service is now
So let's start to set up
Enjoy.
our
If you need anything, feel free to ask one of our
meetup.
lovely
So
crew members. Thank you.
MDPC. Oh, we have that one already. So slash 435. And then slash 1034. Next up is going to be Charlie Yankee Yankee Tango. Also for 435 and 1038. At last we got Shannon. Also 435. And that one's going to be at 1082. Alright, looks good so far. So, TWIP request. We want... Well, we know MDPC, so let's go for that one. Send. And then let's also go for
Speedbird
that one.
2204, climb flight level 300.
Speedbird 2204, climb flight level 300. Set. 300 checked. Alright, so that's looking pretty good already. Then let's go ahead and log on to New York. Here we go, network ready and sent. Well, well, and for the time being, I think that's all I got for you. So sit back, relax, enjoy the beautiful night on board our Boeing 777, and then I see you on the approach to Gatwick tomorrow morning. Morning, my friends. I hope you had a nice flight thus far. We have started our descent into London Gatwick and we are already inbound to Teltu for the Hotbed 1 Golf arrival, expecting the ILS approach to runway 26 left. So they've just terminated CPDLC on us, that's fine with me, and log off is checked. And then we're hopefully going to receive radar vectors for the final approach soon. Now, coming into Gatwick, let's go ahead and have a look at the actual arrival procedure that we're facing. It's just about 6 in the morning here in London, so the sun is still setting pretty low, that's why I've got all the sunshades up over here. So, if we are going to fly the standard arrival, then we would fly that holding out of Willow and then eventually towards Mayfield and then to the final approach. However, don't really intend to do that, do we? So, radar vectors for the ILS approach runway 26 left, starting in 2000 at the Fox. That's just 5.5 miles out, gotta keep that in mind. 3-degree glide slope, minimum says 396. Go around straight ahead until passing 2000, or 1D from the ILS, whichever is later, and then turn left heading 178 to 3000 feet. And that's exactly what we've got in our FMS. So apart from that, we do not have anything special over here. There is nothing non-standard over here, so flaps 25 landing, and the runway is more than long enough. Let's actually go ahead and pin those airport charts and the parking stand charts. So 26 left, more than long enough, going to the Capes on one of the exits over here, Echo Romeo, Foxtrot Romeo, and then either via the runway or via Juliet into the direction of our parking stands. And that's about it. That's as easy as it is. So, with that in mind, let's go ahead and start our approach briefing. Okay, so Hotbed 1 Golf arrival and eventually radar vectors for the ILS approach runway 26 left. Minimums 396, go around straight at 2000, left turn 176, climbing with 3000, and we have no specials. Extra fuel 9.2 versus 7.2, so that's roughly 15 minutes extra. Thanks for that, and we are going to fly this using the flight directors and ILS guidance. Flaps 25, landing off 26 left. We hit runway to the right hand side with idle reverse and, well, nothing special really. Fairly standard taxiing, no hotspots, and that's it. Any questions? No? Wonderful, then that's our briefing completed. So the passengers have already been briefed. We're approaching 10,000, so lights are coming on, signs are on already. So let's hope that ATC is going to give us the vectors out of Holy. Otherwise I'll just ask him to proceed direct to Mayfield. Let's actually do that. Speedbird 2204, request to proceed direct Mike Alpha Yankee.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now on our final
Speedbird 2204, proceed direct to Mike Alpha Yankee.
Stow them until we've arrived at the gate.
Proceed direct to Mike Alpha Yankee, Speedbird 2204.
A full upright position.
Here we
and
go.
your seatbelts are fastened. Our British Airways staff will provide you with information regarding your connection flights once we are on the ground. Thank you for your cooperation.
So, vertical speed and approaching. And that's looking quite good indeed. So, almost 1,000 to go. VS minus 1,000. So, all we're waiting for now is the handoff to approach. 1,000 to go.
Speedbird 2204, descend altitude 3000, maintain current heading 055 vectors for the ILS runway 26 left approach.
Speedbird 2204, maintain present heading, descend 4000, vectors ILS 26 left. Set QNH. QNH 1022 cross-check, passing 7600 now. And, well, no further speed restriction is there, so let's resume 240. Okay, so vectors for the ILS, then center fix on top, please. And here we go. So I think in terms of the remaining distance, we're actually running pretty fine, so not much we gotta do over there. And then, let's do the approach checklist, please. Altimeters, QNH 1022. Approach checklist complete. So, the last bits of the sun until we are diving back into the clouds. Then we can clean the flight deck up. Like this. Okay, so, easy going. I think I'm saying that far too often, am I? I gotta say though, I really like that maintain present heading from say intentions, because we are basically going into the right direction here already. Speed, vertical speed. Let's see if we can force a continuous descent here.
Speedbird 2204, expect the ILS runway 26 left approach into London Gatwick.
Expect ILS 26 left, Speedbird 2204. Yep, we knew that much.
Speedbird 2204, 11 miles from Charlie Foxtrot 26 Lima. Turn left heading 325, descend altitude 2000 until established on the localizer. Cleared for the ILS runway 26 left approach.
Speedbird 2204, descend altitude 2000, turn left heading 325, cleared ILS 26 left. So, 10 miles from the center fix. I think our energy situation is looking very good. Couple of clouds over here. Temperature is 13, so we don't need anti-ice, and if we do, it's automatic anyway. Lovely lights up here on the overhead. The ray traced shadows just look really good in FS24, don't they? Level change. So, glide slope alive. Let's dim the displays a little bit more. So, landing at 10, schedule is 20 on block. That's pretty good. Of course, pretty good is not enough for us. We gotta make it perfect, but I'm sure we will. So, starting the speed reduction. So, I am going to give myself one final vector here. Say intentions are working on the radar vectoring, but the final intercept is something they can still improve a bit.
Radio altimeter.
Checked. Flaps 1. Speed checked. Okay, so vertical speed and approach armed. So
Speedbird 2204, contact London Gatwick Tower on 124.23.
124.23, Speedbird 2204. Gatwick Tower, Speedbird 2204, heavy, ILS 26 left. Flaps 5.
Speedbird 2204, London Gatwick Airport Tower, wind 230 at 4, runway 26 left, clear to land.
Runway 26 left, clear to land, Speedbird 2204. So, ground is pre-selected, then let's have a little bit of fun. Glide slope capture. Go around altitude 3000 sets.
2204, confirm your position and runway assignment. You should be on final approach for runway 26 left at EGKK.
Affirm, runway 26 left, clear to land, Speedbird 2204. Okay, gear down, flaps 20. Flaps 25. Set VRF plus 5. That's set and checked. So lights are on, signs are on. Landing checklist. Landing checklist complete. So nicely established at about 1300 above the ground. Beautiful. So, someone recently said in the comments underneath one of my videos, yes, I do read them, that British Airways would only fly with the auto throttle connected on final, so I suppose we'll do that. We're passing 1000. Checked. That call came a little bit late. It felt like it was coming from the barometric altimeter rather than the radio altimeter.
Approaching 26 left.
And that's intentional. I have a feeling the puppy is a little bit more accurate than the glide slope here, so going below glide, continue.
Glide slope.
Yep, cancel.
100. 50. 30. 20. 10.
Speed brake up, thruster is normal.
1,500 meters remaining. 1,200 remaining.
Alright, and with that, welcome to London Gatwick.
Speedbird 2204, welcome to London Gatwick. Contact ground on 121.805.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
121.805, Speedbird 2204.
Just a fun fact for you, London is home to the British Museum, which houses over 8 million works dedicated to human history, art and culture.
Gatwick ground speedbird 2204, request taxi to gate 21.
Please remain seated until we reach our final parking position. On behalf of Captain Emmanuel, First Officer Amanda, and the entire crew, we wish you a pleasant stay in London.
Speedbird
The local time here is
2204,
6:11
taxi to Pier 221, via Golf Romeo Golf, cross runway 08 left, then Juliet
Approaching
Papa, Kilo.
runways.
Good day.
Taxi to gate 21 via Golf Romeo Golf Juliet Papa Kilo cross 26 right. Speedbird 2204. Okay, so from Golf onto Juliet. And once we're on Juliet, we'll do all the cleanup work and stuff. So, the glide slope came in a little bit high, which was the reason why we flared so long. And then, of course, with the auto throttle on, we went into a little bit of a ground effect, and auto throttle just corrected for that and added some thrust. Now, when you fly with auto throttle off and you don't change the thrust there, you get into that little bit of shying away from the runway, and what you do is basically nothing. Therefore, the aircraft is going to lose some speed, and that's going to get you back down to the runway. With the auto throttle on, that is of course not going to work, as it's just going to add some thrust, and that can get ugly really quickly. Now, we were safe within the touchdown zone, nice and smooth, nothing to complain about, but of course that is something that we should keep in mind, and of course that is something that, well, can happen. Okay, so we are on Juliet now, and then we've got Papa and Kilo to the gate. So that's Papa and Kilo, gate 21. So that's fairly easy. I tend to say, even I can do that. And then we do have 3 minutes, so shut down right engine. So engine shutdown right. And we can clear that. So, home sweet home. Even though I'm not 100% convinced that all of the tourists we have on board are gonna say that. And I'm fairly sure some would have liked to stay a little bit longer. But as they say, no, they said, you must pay up, the drinks come at a price. Okay, so Papa is going to be next to the left. Actually, according to that sign over there, it's Romeo on the left. So we are over here. Okay, makes sense. So we continue straight ahead for a little bit. So, crossing Quebec. Just keeping a good eye on our charts. Quebec is over here. So after all these stunts, Papa will be next. Single engine taxi just works really, really nice in the 777. For a moment I was wondering if it's so bright down here because we have the floodlight on, but no, it's not. Fine for me. So a little bit of traffic would be nice, but that's hopefully gonna come soon. So now, Papa to the left. down to 10 knots, clear right side, clear left side, and off we go. Okay, so then we're going to turn right onto Kilo. That's not this taxiway, but the next one, that one over there. Or am I correct here? Yeah, second right. So the left is clear, the right is clear. So one more time, right into the sunshine. At least we have some sunshine here. We should be happy about that in the UK. Could be raining all day long. And here we are. So gate number 21. That's going to be the third gate on the right side. We've already passed the first, so that's number 2 and that's number 3, 21. So the weather radars are off, lights are coming off. Gate number 23, and over here is 21. Clear right side. And nobody here. Oh yeah, that definitely feels like home. You get to the gate, no handling staff whatsoever. Not even the guidance is working. Without that, in theory, we would not have been allowed to turn into the gate. But then again, that's because GSX is inoperative, so... Alright, and we can stop right here. Beautiful. APU running, parking brake set, and shutdown. Cabin crew, all doors in park. Alright. So, shutdown checklist, park and brake, set, shutdown checklist complete. Ground from flight deck.
You're welcome. Safe travel.
Alright, so the aircraft is in a good shape, and, well, don't touch it. So, chocks. Jetway.
I don't understand.
No problem. Alright, so ground power, requests, doors, disarm all. Then we can get some service vehicles, please. So that's an aft cargo, a bulk cargo, and a forward cargo. So the jetway is going to 2 left, it seems, so let's open that one. Very good, so let's have a look. 9.3 tons on board, that is pretty accurate. Let's see how much we were supposed to use exactly. So we started with 61, we were supposed to burn 50.6, so we burned a tiny bit more than planned, but that's alright. And with that, all I can say is welcome to London Gatwick. I do hope you guys enjoyed this one. Leave your feedback on the ATC, leave your feedback on the flight in the comments underneath the video. I do hope you had as much fun flying along as I had flying this one. And as always, if you're up for more, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Check out Say Intentions AI using the link in the pinned comment or in the video description. And if you really love what I'm doing on this channel, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to see you all again on the next one.